Good evening and welcome to tonight's Marion Common Council meeting. Today's date is February 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Marion City Council chambers at City Hall. I welcome everyone here tonight, and we're going to call this meeting to order and begin the meeting with the prayer by Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
All right. Lord, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for this day. I ask you just to bless this meeting and let us be an encouragement and do what's best and what's right for our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mayor. And today's Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice President Gary Fordyce, Sr. All right, and we'll go into roll call. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Fordyce.
Here.
Brunner.
Here.
Klein. Here. Devine.
Here.
Witten.
Here.
Cowgill.
Here.
McKinley.
Here. Okay, so tonight's Community Spotlight, we were going to feature Michael and Ronnie Contreras, but unfortunately they're okay, but they were involved in a car accident, and it's just their whole schedule's messed up because of that. So we're going to bring them back possibly at the next meeting or another meeting after that. So unfortunately, some stuff out of their control happened. But looking forward to have them in here at another meeting. So we're going to skip the Community Spotlight and move into tonight's City Employees Spotlight. So David Slusher is somewhere in the audience. Come on up. You know you're coming up here. Welcome. Everybody knows David, and if you're at home, you don't know him, hopefully you get to know him a little bit better this evening. Let me get this pulled up here. Let me switch it for my people at home. Okay, so I talked to the mayor about this, and we decided to feature David Slusher. He's the Building and Grounds Manager for the City of Marion, and he's been with the city for 3 years now, February 14th. And so I'm just going to read what I wrote. So David Slusher has been our exceptional Building and Grounds Manager for 3 years, showcasing unparalleled dedication and expertise. And anyone that's been around, I mean, I've been on the council for over a year now, and all those others have definitely seen that. His attention to detail and his proactive approach ensure that our facilities are well maintained and inviting, and then David's leadership fosters a positive environment, making him an invaluable asset to our team, and we're really grateful for his hard work and commitment. Just his positive attitude, I mean, I've never heard this guy ever in a bad mood or have a negative attitude. I'm sure you're never like that though, right? It's just around me. But he's always got a smile, and he's always willing to work things out and figure things out. And really, you know, when he came on 3 years ago, you know, he had a lot on his plate, and he still does. And when the mayor came in and the council decided to do a lot of upgrades to our facilities, David's been instrumental in helping us figure out what do we do, where do we do it, and just getting the work done. I mean, he's got a lot of done. Him and his team, if you just go outside the building, it looks much better. It's refreshed. Just the carpet in here. I mean, every time I come in this building, I know they're just, quote, doing their job, but they're doing it well, and they're working hard. So it's not just him, it's his team, but he's really leading his team well. And you know, we really want our city hall to look good in all of our facilities, and David is doing a phenomenal job with bringing them all up to what we'd say are modern standards. So we appreciate you so much, David. I know he was featured one other time last year, but it was for something else. What was that you were featured for last year? It was the fire chief did it more. Police. Or the police, because you helped catch a suspect. So he kind of got recognized in the past more for civilian duty and civilian act. But, just that, going back to that, just shows this this guy's willing to do anything, even catch suspects. So, but we just really appreciate you. You want to share anything at all?
Thank you. I just appreciate the opportunity to be here to serve the city and work for the mayor. I've been blessed. We've really done a lot this last year, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. We got a great team here, and I just feel blessed to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here, and we couldn't help but notice the hat you're wearing today. He's the biggest Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I don't know who's rooting for the Chiefs or not, but the refs definitely, yeah, for sure. We mess with them all the time. I mean, we're Colts country here, right? And some Bears fans mixed in. I'm sorry about your Bears. Yeah, the Bears fan over here. Anyways, but David, really appreciate you. We just wanted to recognize you for all the work you're doing and the work you're going to continue to do. So thank you for coming tonight. We got to grab a quick picture. We've got to have Marty do something here tonight. Okay, and we're going to move into the consent agenda for the approval of minutes, consideration of pre-approved claims, and consideration of claims. Any discussion on anything under that agenda item? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Cowgill, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein, Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Moving into committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? Councilman Brunner did tell me, so I'll let him go first.
We had a park board meeting. We've not had a meeting with the winter going on, and we had a meeting on Monday. And among the probably really popular items that we're going to be doing is adding pickleball courts to the tennis courts out at Mater Park. If you have not heard, pickleball has kind of become maybe the most popular sport in this area. In fact, they have a lineup to get on the pickleball courts we have out there. So they're going to take two of the tennis courts and turn them into pickleball courts. So that, I think, is going to get a very popular rise out of a lot of people. Mayor, if you could real quickly talk about the band shell and the Ballard Field discussion that you had with the park board yesterday.
Yes, so with the band shell, we're exploring different methods of how we want to move forward with remodeling that or upgrading that area, and that's still undecided. The park board is under consideration for it now. But one thing that was decided on by the Parks Board. So the parks own all of Ballard Field, which is roughly 19 acres, and they gave us approval to move forward with the development of those 19 acres. As you know, the dog park is already was already started previously, and it's supposed to start construction. Last I heard, it was this either June or July. So I think that takes up a few of those acres, but the rest of the roughly 17, 18 acres that will be available, the Parks Board has approved for us to move forward with that development.
Thank you. So hopefully we get some nice warm weather earlier rather than later, and we can resume the fact of we're going to be adding some pickleball courts out at Motter Park, and look forward to that. So that's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Brunner. Any other committee reports? Councilwoman Devine.
So last week, the Marion Utility Services Board met, and they discussed the fact that we're still kind of in the same place on all the projects due to the weather, but they were still talking about the discussion about dripping the meter or dripping water faucets and how to get a meter adjustment if you're one of those that needed to have your faucet dripping to keep your pipes from freezing. And they, I think, put out a reminder on Facebook, but it's also, so if you have it dripping, say for the month of January, when you get your February bill, if you call into them, they will then review your January bill against your average usage and then automatically adjust off the difference for that amount for that dripping. And that'll work through the winter as we have those months where it's really cold. So good thing to know that they won't just show up. You do have to actually call in and let them know that you were doing that. They did some updates to their drug screen policy. They decided that they had a CDL random policy in place. They've decided to go ahead and extend that policy to their whole workforce. So they're going to be doing random drug screening for the whole Marion Utilities. They have started getting quotes for the biosolids dewatering to get the new equipment, and they're looking at a refurbished unit, which is almost half, about a third of the cost of what a new one would be. So they're working on that. Trying to think. They said actually water usage has increased by 1.5 million gallons a day since the cold water, and they are seeing more water lines breaking through the cold snaps. And that's pretty much what the utility services has been up to. Board of Works met this week, and they swore in 2 new probationary firefighters to become privates. So they finished their first year probation and are now officially on the, I guess that's the right way to say that, isn't it? Officially on the department. And then Jerry Fosnight gave a update on some of the unsafes that have been working on, that the Board of Works has given time to additionally work, and it sounds like the majority of them are continuing to work even through the weather challenges. And that's both boards.
Thank you so much. I'll add to the Board of Works the 2 firefighters that were sworn in, Heisman Skeens and Quinn. So I was there, fortunately. Quinn is my stepson, so quite proud of him. And Heisman was one of the all-star quarterbacks, or all-star running backs at Mississinawa. So 2 excellent additions to the fire department. So quite proud of both, but exceptionally for one of those. Yeah. Okay, any other committee reports? All right. We'll move on to unfinished business, Resolution 1-2025, a request to approve an economic development agreement between the City of Marion and Cafe Valley.
A resolution of the Common Council for Marion, Indiana, approving an economic development agreement. Cafe Valley has advised the city that it desires to further expand its production capacity across its network, investing not less than approximately $20,300,000 completing the project, which includes a substantial investment in new manufacturing equipment, R&D equipment, logistic distribution equipment, and IT equipment, all to be located at the current facility in Marion. As a result of the project, Cafe Valley will hire approximately an additional 100 full-time employees by 2026 at an average salary of not less than approximately $19 per hour. To induce Cafe Valley to complete the project, the city desires to provide Cafe Valley with a 12-year personal property tax abatement, among other rights and obligations of Cafe Valley and the city, all as more particularly defined in that certain economic development agreement. Speaking, Mayor Morrell, Chris Greisel, and Joe Murphy.
Welcome.
Good evening, councilors. Great to be back before you guys. Yeah, I'll provide a brief summary, and then I really want to open it up to make sure that all of our questions have been answered. So we were here before you at the first meeting of the year in January and had a fruitful discussion about this topic, and ultimately this group decided that there were still some unanswered questions. There was some sentiment that we needed to think about this a little bit more and contemplate the financials, the numbers, understand them a little bit more. Kicked it out to our development committee. I'm sure that Councilor Fordyce provided that report at the last meeting, but we had a really great productive discussion later that same week with that group. Ultimately, I believe it was unanimously voted out of committee back to this group for approval. We missed the January meeting. I want to be clear on that. That wasn't because we weren't prepared. That was because for resolution number 2, 2025, and all of these are tied together, we had to have a public hearing, and we were inside of that hearing date. So we could not get the notices out in time to actually comply with the public hearing law. So that's why we're back before you here today. Again, we're looking to approve a 12-year, 100% abatement for Cafe Valley. In exchange, they're going to be investing $20.3 million, adding 100 new jobs, bringing their total employment to above 800 employees for the duration of their 12-year abatement. They'll also be, those 100 new jobs will be at an average of $19 an hour. And we're very, very excited about the project, and we've spoken at length. I don't want to get into it without responding to a question, but there is a very unique tax structure and debt structure associated with this project, which makes it necessary for this larger, more substantial abatement, which goes beyond what might traditionally be considered for this type of project. So before you have 3 resolutions today. The one that was just read aloud is the Economic Development Agreement. That's the one that covers the details of the project. It covers Cafe Valley's commitments, which we've already highlighted, the jobs, the capital investment, the hourly rate that they're going to be offering those new jobs, and then the long-term 800 job commitment over the course. It also includes a clause that allows for the city to negotiate and refinance the bonds that are outstanding on both their side and our side to hopefully lower those rates, lower those overall payments. As we talked about last time we were here, both Cafe Valley and the city of Marion are paying substantial shortfall payments on those bonds right now because of the way that original deal was structured. And so we're hopeful that as part of this economic development agreement, we'll be able to take control of that refinancing process, save both Cafe Valley and the city a little bit of money. Resolution number 2 is a waiver of non-compliance. This is acknowledging on your part that the traditional abatement process was not followed. This was due to kind of normal operations of business. Cafe Valley received a commitment from a client of theirs to produce a new product at their Marion facility, and they could not wait for this abatement process to proceed. And so they had to go ahead and make some of that capital investment up front in the 2024 year. This waiver of noncompliance, again, acknowledges that the process was not followed, but we still wish to capture all of that investment as part of the abatement process. And then finally, resolution number 3 is kind of the statutory required document that you need to approve to establish the economic development area and then proceed with the abatement process. That one kind of has a sister document that, if passed, will, this is the declaratory resolution, and then there will be a confirmatory resolution that would follow that would close that abatement process and kind of make it officially passed. So with that, I would open it up to any questions that remain out there about this project.
All right. right, thank you, Joe, appreciate that. And also, did you want to mention who we have?
Yeah, so we have here today virtually Jacob Everett. Jacob represents Cafe Valley on this deal. And then we also have Chris Greisel, the attorney, who's been working on the resolutions for us, as well as Andy Mauser from Baker Tilly, who ran all the financial projections for us for this deal. So we have all the experts in the house ready to answer questions for you.
All right, so specifically to Resolution 1-2025, council members have any further questions? I just wanted to make just a public statement. I talked to Joe earlier about it, just about the 100 jobs with the $19 an hour average salary. I know people that work there and they work on different shifts. And currently, the people that work there, introductory pay, from my understanding, is below the 19. So, you know, my hope is that Cafe will increase the pay so that it does average the, my understanding is that first shift is at $15 an hour, second is around 16, third shift is around 17. Obviously there's other types of specialty positions that probably will make more than that, but that's the information that I got. So to get to the average of $19 an hour, I just wanted it to be on the record that that's currently what I know to be the wages there, or at least starting wages. And so my expectation is when we review this every year in the CF1 form to review the agreement, that we do get those answers and make sure that this, the 100 full-time employees and the $19 average is actually met as promised in this. So just wanted to make that public statement, just for the record. Anybody have questions? Anything else on Resolution 1? All right. If we don't have anything else, that one just requires one hearing. There's no public hearing on that one.
No.
And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to pass Resolution 01-2025.
I have a motion by Vice President Fordyce, a second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, Resolution 1-2025 has passed. Excuse me, moving into Resolution 2-2025, a request to approve a resolution regarding waiver of noncompliance for Cafe Valley and a public hearing. And Joe, you want to say anything more? I know you've kind of already explained that.
Yeah, I would just read what I've already stated, that this is not uncommon practice. It is a required additional step because we are factoring in money that's already been spent. But if you think about the way you run a business, if you've ever been part of a business or an owner of a business, you have an order that you have to fill, and you can't necessarily wait for local government to proceed with their action. So Cafe Valley did what was prudent and made the investment ahead of time, and are now asking that we essentially do that noncompliance as it states here, and understand that and move forward with the abatement process as if all of that would be captured after the abatement, or after the approval of the final abatement. So I think it's, we've said enough at this point, yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Any council members with questions before we go to the public hearing? Okay. Thank you, Joe. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing to this. So if you would like to speak, you would have 3 minutes, and you have to state your name and address. You can make your way up to the podium now. Welcome. If you could just state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Ryan Howell. I live at 2909 South Branson Street in Marion, Indiana. As a hardworking taxpayer of Marion, I just want to thank every one of you for removing barriers for private enterprise of the city of Marion rather than putting them in place. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I must say, it's always nice to hear some positivity, and so we appreciate you coming up the podium for that. Anybody else for the public hearing? Okay, I don't see anyone else making way to the podium, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. If any other council members have more questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Otherwise, if you don't, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to pass Resolution 02-2025.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Fordyce, second by Councilman Witten. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Resolution 2-2025 has passed, and we're going to move into Resolution 3-2025, a request to approve a declaratory resolution designating property as an economic revitalization area and authorizing abatement for Cafe Valley. Again, I think Joe's stated as much as he could.
Yeah, this is, again, the Economic Development Agreement, which you passed first, kind of has the potatoes of the actual agreement between the city and Cafe Valley. This is more just its statutory cousin that needs to be passed. You have to establish an economic revitalization area before you can pass an abatement, so this would do that. And then, like I said, there would be a following document that would come back to you at the next meeting where we would actually confirm. It would be a confirmatory resolution, which then closes that abatement process and is the final approval. So this is kind of the opening of that process.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions from the council members? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. With no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion to pass Resolution 03-2025.
I have a motion by Vice President Fordyce, a second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein, Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, Resolution 3-2025 has passed. And then at the next meeting, we will have a public hearing for the confirmatory resolution. And moving into General Ordinance 3-2025, an ordinance amending General Ordinance 25-2024, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance amending General Ordinance 25-2020, salary ordinance for appointed officers and employees of the City of Marion, Indiana for the year 2025 by adding a horticulturist position in the Parks Department. The City of Marion Parks and Recreation feature 13 parks with over 150 acres. Our goal is to enhance the quality of life and community pride in maintaining safe, accessible, and affordable, beautiful parks. The Parks Department is pleased to add a horticulture position. This will contribute to the beautification of the City of Marion. Speaking, Randy Hyatt.
Good evening and welcome, Randy.
Good evening.
Anything you'd like to add that we haven't already spoke at the last meeting?
No, sir.
All right, great. Any council members with questions? Vice President Fordyce.
Randy, on this position, and I spoke to the mayor about it, this position for this horticulturist, they're actually a working person that is going to be out in the field working on the parks?
Yes, sir.
Not just an advisory, but an actual physical working person?
Yes, sir.
And they're going to take over planters downtown and the hanging baskets?
That part I'm not sure about,
I think that's
to be
what,
honest with you.
that's what me and the mayor discussed, that was going to alleviate some of the cost from downtown.
Oh, you're talking
On-
about the big baskets on the square?
Sure,
Yes.
yeah. Because right now, we're paying to have that taken care of, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And that'll eliminate that also, so there's going to be some savings to this
Yes, sir.
with the addition. Thank you.
And that includes the hanging plants as well, or is that what you're talking about, Vice President Fordyce?
Yes.
Councilman Brunner.
Randy, will this be a 12-month, 365-day-a-year job?
Yes, sir.
So even in the winter, snow, whatever, there'll still be things for them to do?
Yes, sir. That's when they plant all their new gardens, they make the new designs for the beds, things of that nature,
Thank you.
and the ordering of the flowers, sir.
Yeah, Councilman Klein.
Yeah, thank you. You know, the position idea is a great one, and I think it's a wise one. And I had originally contacted you and talked to the mayor about, you know, the qualifications, you know, having master gardener certification, because they know not only about planting and growing and the soil and this and that, and they have teaching. But after talking to some folks, hiring a master gardener might be easier said than done, I learned. And so if the new horticulturist isn't a master gardener, can I expect that this person's going to have appropriate degrees and experience
Yes,
toward
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The difference is this person will have that degree. A master gardener has to earn.
Yeah.
They volunteer their hours, and then it adds up. That's how they get that status.
Okay. So if it's not what my first thought was, then it'll still be something with an appropriate and related degree and experience to be a horticulturist, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I feel better. Thank you.
Councilwoman Devine.
Remind me, and this doesn't require any additional appropriation, that this is going to be funded through what we've already passed budget-wise at the Parks Department?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other council members? Quick question. We've had this position in the past, correct?
Correct.
And what happened? Why did we get rid of it?
They left because of previous management.
So I'm not being critical when I say this. So they left, whoever was in that position. I'm just curious though, why wasn't the position open to hire someone else?
Previous management, to be honest with you.
So this
They
happened,
went a different route.
this happened more than a year and a half ago or?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was just trying to put the gap in there of like, why are we bringing it back now? What happened previously? So, okay.
And when they didn't bring it back, that's kind of how we lost our signature status. So that's our purpose, is to bring all that back.
Perfect. I had an idea, but I just wanted the public to hear that, to hear the story and that it wasn't necessarily desired to lose this position.
Correct.
Because if anyone's been to Model Park, then if you know anything or just a little bit about flowers or plants, which I know very little, it's overwhelming. There's so much out there, and there's so much, I don't even know how to say it, ecology and biology and all that goes into this, that without a trained horticulturalist, it's like me showing up to Lowe's and, oh, that looks good, and having any idea what bugs tracks. So we haven't had anyone with these qualifications for quite some time now.
Several years, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, whoever was filling in did a great job. The park still looked good, but I understand this desire, and I appreciate you answering the questions. Councilman Brunner.
Another question, Randy. If this passes, how soon do you think you can get someone hired?
Hopefully within a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other council members? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move it into the public hearing. So, Randy, thank you. If you want to just hang out to the side for a minute. We're going to open the public hearing. If you'd like to speak on this, you can make your way to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes. And you can state your name and your address. Go ahead. Again, welcome. State your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. Nope, go into the red button.
All right. My name is Ryan Howell. I live at 2909 South Branson Street in Marion, Indiana. I don't think hiring a horticulturist is a good idea. Metaphorically speaking, this isn't a question about how much will this cost the Marion taxpayers, so we can be transparent with the community. I think the city of Marion will be better off outsourcing this job to private enterprise so we can decrease the size of government. I would see if this could be a job for Wesleyan University or possibly the work crews of the county jail or community service. Progressive policy is expanding the size of government, and conservative policy should be decreasing the size of government. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for putting the Marion taxpayer and hardworking men and women of Marion at the head of the table. Thank you for your service to your community. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Appreciate it. Public hearing is still open. If you'd like to speak, make your way to the podium. Not seeing anybody move towards the podium. Last chance. Still nobody. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Randy, if you want to come back. Randy, if you could answer the question, what's the, I see it here, but I want you to say it, but what are we requesting to appropriate as far as dollar amount?
Say, I don't have that paper. 1 second.
I'll answer it for you. It's 50,000. Yeah. So the additional appropriation.
It's not.
Oh, nope, sorry.
I don't believe it's 50, sir.
I'm looking at the wrong one. I've got it right here.
I believe it's closer to 45.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, let me get back through these attachments. Sorry, we went over this
Yeah, I think that's
at
right.
the last meeting, so I'm pulling it back up.
I think that's right, Mr. President. $1,730 biweekly,
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much.
26 pays, I think it's about $45,000.
Yep, $1,030.77. Perfect. Bi-weekly. So the math almost, I would say, gets to the 45,000 area. So great. That's what I wanted to answer on that. Any other council members with questions? And just as a reminder, this position we had, how long did we have this position previous before it got eliminated?
How long was Doug here?
Approximately.
10 years, 12 years, 14.
14? Okay.
It started with, I don't know if you're familiar with Doug Darga. He brought that position in. And then when Doug left and previous administrations decided not to renew that position. And it just became a regular worker.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, if no other council members have questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules on General Ordinance 3, 2025.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein, Devine,
Yes.
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, the rules have been suspended. I would entertain another motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to now make a motion that we pass General Ordinance number 3, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cowgill, second by Councilman Kane to pass General Ordinance 3, 2025. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein, Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 3-2025 has passed. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're moving into new business, additional appropriation 1-2025, first reading.
An ordinance appropriating certain funds in the amount of $50,000 from the general fund to Board of Works for Marion Arts Commission. Mayor Morrell seeks to collaborate with the Marion Arts Commission to establish a dedicated arts district in Marion. This initiative positions the city to access additional funding opportunities through state grants and other allocations aimed at enhancing the downtown area. To qualify for these resources, the city must partner with a nonprofit organization, and MAC is prepared to take the lead in showcasing and elevating the arts within the community. This partnership underscores the city's commitment to cultural enrichment and economic development. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here before the City Council again, and I'm very excited to present what I would like to consider another economic driver for our city. This initiative is one of the a part of the trilogy of the districts that we've established. So we started with the Riverfront District and the Dora District, and in the same breath and the same kind of economic drive that those bring forth, this Arts District presents the same opportunity. So in order to achieve this, we obviously have to partner with a nonprofit per the state requirements, and this is under Indiana Arts Commission. And with the establishment of this district, not only will it highlight the already much investment we have in art in our downtown, this will curate and make us available for more investments and a destination, if you will, for artists and what's going on in our city. So this proposal is seeking funding for our partnership with Marion Arts Commission to be able to go forth and do what is necessary to be able to start this the development of this arts district and the continuation of investment and growth that we're experiencing in our downtown corridor. So this district will kind of overlay within the Riverfront District. So that will be the location. So without further ado, we have some of the board members of the Marion Arts Commission here tonight that I think somebody's prepared to share about some more information. So if they would come forward at this time, if you welcome them to come forward at this time, Council President.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Come forward at this time to share more about Marion Arts Commission and this proposal.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm Kevin Plank. I'm a board member with the Marion Arts Commission. And I think the mayor described the initiative fairly well. I was going to give you a little background about us. We've been in business for 4 years. Just annually, we were working off a $12,000 budget a year. handing out grants to local artists to where they'll turn around and purchase their art supplies and then sell their art as income in the community. And then you multiply that 12,000 or 1,000, that's about $1,000 a month. That's our budget. We were supporting local artists. Last spring, we held our first MAC Gala at the Kennedy Art Center. We were able to raise $25,000 with local artists and investors. That positioned us to get our vision and our mission outside of our board and outside of the Kennedy Art Center, overflowing into the community, into Marion. We're still able, with that money, to grant local artists money to make income, but we're also now ready to move outside the Kennedy Art Center, get into the city itself, maybe partner with the Historic District, SOS, and starting to bring the arts and culture back into the city. We're at a crossroads. We're all volunteer board members. We're talented, we're invested, we'll do what we need to do, but we can't, as a board, carry out this mission in the partnership with the city. We're hoping to hire a director that would be able to write the grants, partner with the city to write the grants, and kind of take that off the board a little bit. We are prepared to provide ongoing data tracking, financial reports, whatever your comfort level is with that reporting. I would like Mike Halstead to be able to come up and talk a little about the vision, if that's acceptable. Yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I stuck up on him. Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Kevin, and thank you, councilors, for listening to our request tonight. I'm Mike Halstead, Halstead Architects at 402 South Washington Street. Artists have a unique way of finding places in the city and making them cool. We all know that, right? The place to go. In many cases, those are underdeveloped or even abandoned areas of a city. Why is that? Because they're starving artists. That's the only place they can afford to go, right? But eventually, artists attract other development. I've been very fortunate that happened in Fountain Square over the last 26 years. That's a small commercial historic district on the southeast side of Indianapolis. You're probably familiar with that area. Maybe I know Eric's been there a few times. I've seen Eric down there. But Fountain Square was underdeveloped for the long time. It was a theater district in the late 1800s. And that's the reason why I bought my building there, was because it was affordable, it was underdeveloped, it was a historic district, it was the perfect spot. And it started to attract the artists because of that same reason. They could afford to live there, they could afford to open galleries, and before you know it, we had artists living there, we had galleries popping up, we had First Friday nights, we started to attract the younger people to the area of Fountain Square, and then you know, all of a sudden we've got coffee shops, we've got restaurants, then we start to get apartments. It was named a cultural arts district. It was the first section of the cultural trail in Indianapolis, and then it was also the first section of the Red Line, which is the rapid area transit system in Indianapolis. So really, Fountain Square developed because of the artists and all the other things that they brought to that community. So I think that can also happen in Marion. And it's happening all around us. The Cultural Arts District, there's one that's growing in Wabash, so not Marion. We have everything here in our downtown. We have the river, we have Great Hospital, we have the YMCA, we have the city and county buildings, we have 3 universities nearby. We have it all. We have the commercial historic district. We have beautiful buildings, so I think we're ripe for this kind of funding. So we would really appreciate and consider your consideration of this resolution to strengthen our collective vision for a cultural arts district in downtown Marion. And I'd like to ask next, Don doesn't want to? Okay, I thought Don was going to get up and speak. Don Artemis, who's also on our board and is a local artist who's received grants. And we hope that we can continue to support local artists and grassroots arts organizations, not just the MAC board. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that concludes our presentation for part of it.
Thank you, Mayor. Any council members with questions? Councilman Klein.
Thank you. You mentioned Fountain Square. He's not paying attention. You mentioned Fountain Square. Get us duck pin bowling down here, up here. But seriously, folks, I got to admit, first read this and I had second thoughts about the city funding nonprofits. That can be a whole long discussion, and I don't intend that. So I basically have two questions, and I don't care who answers them. First one, without any adjectives, without any adverbs, what kind of real numbers and expectations and results can we expect from this? That's my first question.
Success with this partnership is the establishment of the Arts District.
Okay, and how, following up on that then, how does that art district, I mean, you got to have some idea of what this art district is going to do. And granted, my scholarship was in performing, so but what can we expect?
So just like with anything, there's no guarantees, but this puts us on the path to be successful in getting the arts district. And then after the arts district is established, there's funding through the state and I believe federally as well for us to be able to access. So it's the simplest form. Without the arts district, we don't qualify. So we can't even try without it. But with the arts district, it opens us up to a funding streams of money coming from state and federal buckets that we've never had access to before.
Okay. My second question is this a request that comes back every year?
Yes, this would be a yearly partnership. And on that, I think where you're going.
Not the partnership, is the request for money?
Monetary partnership, yeah. I was saying partnership, but that's what I mean.
We can be partners, and I can keep my money in my pocket. But
this would be a monetary investment for the city, and from my office specifically, the ask on this will be like we do when we work with the other nonprofit we fund, which would be the Growth Council. It would be monthly payments that can be cut off with 30-day notices. And there will be, anytime anybody wants to report, as Mr. Plank stated, they're prepared to be able to share with any of us what they're doing and how they're working towards being successful in this endeavor.
So not necessarily in perpetuity then?
No, this will have to be asked for specifically by the council every year.
Okay.
And that was one of the things I wanted to say, Mike, in an answer to your sort of quantitative question is, our goal is to hire an executive director who can help the city go out and get some of these grants. And I would hope within the 2 or 3 year period, that executive director is bringing in enough money to pay their salaries. And so that maybe after 3 years, this grant sunsets, so you don't have to keep, paying us in perpetuity or supporting us, because that is the job of that executive director, is to go out and find funding to justify their position. Quite frankly, yeah.
Any other council members? Vice President? Oh.
Just to follow up with you, Mike.
Can you turn your mic on?
Just to follow up with you, Mr. Klein, I did have a conversation with the president of the MAC, and that was our discussion about eventually being self-funding, and so this is startup money. So the payoff on this could be great for downtown. So I'm excited for this, and I think everybody is. Not saying you're not, but I am certainly excited for this and the great potential for arts to explode in downtown Marion. Thank you.
Vice President Fordyce.
I'm going to expand more on Mike's question, and I appreciate what Councilman David said. Just wondering what the what the fruition's going to be on what we are going to accomplish and what the grants are going to bring in to the community. And then just break down and I've had discussions with the mayor, break down what the 50,000 is going to go for.
Yes, so 35,000 of that is going towards assisting the Arts Commission in hiring a director, and the other 15,000 is going towards helping support grants for local artists to be local artists in Marion. That's the total of 50,000.
And on helping local artists, I mean, me and you discussed this. Is this going to assist them getting grants for the artist, or the 15,000? What's that for? Is it a match or?
I can answer that question. So the 35,000 that goes for an executive director, that's not enough to pay for an executive director. So it's the max responsibility to match whatever it takes to get the right executive director. But second, the $15,000 that goes to artist grants, those go directly to the artist to create exhibits or works of art, like Tashima Davis. It's paid for a mural. There have been some other artists. We have a new opening that's coming in late February through April with Samuel Levi Jones, who's an internationally recognized artist who was born and raised in Marion, went to Taylor University. So it pays for the artist to do exhibits. In general, we used to have this funding. Last year, we didn't make the cutoff to come to the council for the funding, and so really we're going back to some funding we had before in the prior administration.
Any other council members? Maybe one or a couple questions. You just mentioned prior funding, previous administration. Why wasn't this position created sooner if we had previous funding? I guess why now? Why hadn't this been done in the past?
The previous funding was only the $15,000 for the grants to artists, not the money for executive director. Yeah.
Has this idea been brought up in the past, or is this a brand new idea?
Yeah, I'm not sure as far as if the idea was circulated in the previous administration, but I approached this specific nonprofit to create this district, and that's why we started the development of this idea and the partnership. So it might have been an idea before, I'm not sure, but this was a brainchild that I wanted to develop in corresponding with the other two districts that we established. And one of the cities, so if you go on Indiana Arts Commission's website, you'll see all the cities that have them, obviously Wabash, Fort Wayne, etc. Fishers has a really good example of it. Theirs is called the Nickel Plate District, where they have 2 of the 3 running together, where they have, I believe, the Dora and the Arts District, and it's a really successful space. And so I think that we're going to be unique where we have all 3 at the same time, whether it's the Dora, Riverfront District, and the Arts District, all in the same spot, in the same location.
Quite frankly, our organization keeps growing. 2 to 3 years ago, we didn't have the bandwidth to about hiring an executive director. We're very lucky that Wendy Puffer really does so much work volunteer-wise. Chris Kennedy, basically paid to have the Arts Center there. So we're just now getting to the point where we're capable of asking for funding for an executive director with obviously the mayor's bigger idea and bigger picture. We're just trying to fold into that and we were quite frankly surprised when we had the first MAC Gala. We raised $25,000. I mean, that was more than our annual budget in one event. So I think we've been encouraged lately just by our ability to do things that we weren't expecting we would be able to do. So.
Great, thank you. And Mayor, you'd mentioned other cities that they have this, but are other cities funding this position or helping fund it?
Yeah, one city specifically down south is Madison, Indiana, which is a beautiful place if you ever get a chance to visit. And that city, they actually fund their Main Street and their art, and I think they give them both $50,000 each. So they pay over $100,000, and if you go check out their downtown, I mean, it's an amazing experience. So yes, all cities are involved in this partnership, and by partnership I mean financially.
And just for clarity, the position would be interviewed, hired, and managed by a board? The board, correct? Okay. So the city, this is really more of a grant. We're not managing anything. We're just saying, here you go, make something out of it, correct? Okay, just wanted to be clear. I don't have any other questions. Any other council members? Vice President Fordyce.
I'd just like that one more comment. Is there any way that the city administration or the council or anybody's going to have any oversight on this? Because there was an arts commission before downtown. And as a matter of fact, I sat on it. But they had a small budget and they didn't do any fundraisers. And then all they ended up doing is painting murals on the side of buildings. But that never went before, any commission or council or board, or they just decided that downtown, and then they paid the artists. Some of it was volunteer, but for the materials and stuff. I'm just wondering, before we start painting the side of buildings and stuff again, that if some of the buildings were owned by some of the people that were on the commission, others were volunteered, but before that happens, are we going to see any oversight? I mean, there was some stuff that was done that were like, what the heck you painting the side of the building for? I mean, because you decided to, I mean, right on Main Street or something. But that's my only question. I'd like to have some input in, if we're going to put a great big statue in the middle of the city or something, that what it is and what it's going to cost, or to that effect.
Well, I was working on a design for a Councilman Fordyce statue, right, as soon as you pull into the city. But no, I think that is a fair point that hasn't been brought up yet, is if we're going to invest in this, we should have some say-so on the board, and I'm sure that we can negotiate that with the Marion Arts Commission, where there's a city representative on the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, to expand a little bit on that then, is this the only request we're going to get this year, or do we anticipate any other requests for the Arts Commission or anything else?
No, nothing has came across my desk for that yet. And if it does, we'll take it as it comes. But as of now, no, this is the only thing.
Great, thank you. Any other council members? Councilman Brunner.
Mayor, would you consider maybe even consulting Marion High School with their art department, or Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor with their art department? I'm getting a bobbing head back here that there would possibly be even more help there with the universities and with the high school.
Yes, I think we can use all of our partnerships here locally to make this as successful as possible. So from Marion High School to all of our educational institutions around that have thriving art departments.
Thank you.
Any other council members? Great, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for all the information. If no one has any other questions, then I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we pass the additional appropriation 1, 2025 onto second reading, public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Whoa, I have to go back and hit the replay on that one. I did hear, don't get that very often. Thank you. That's exciting. Everyone's jumping up. So I had a motion by Councilman Cowgill. I'll go with Councilwoman Devine. I did that one. Your voice stood out on that one. Any discussion? Real quickly, I will say I strongly encourage, if anyone would like to speak, come to the public hearing. I would like to hear what the public has to say about it. So if this does pass, then it'll go to public hearing at next reading. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Witten.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, this additional appropriation 1-2025 will go to second reading, public hearing at the next council meeting. Moving into additional Appropriation 2-2025, first reading.
An ordinance appropriating certain funds in the amount of $2,200,000 from the general fund to Board of Works for capital improvement. Mayor Morrell has introduced a capital improvement plan aimed at driving significant enhancements across the city. This strategic initiative focuses on addressing critical improvement needs identified within each city department. Developed through close collaboration with department heads, the plan ensures that allocated funds are utilized effectively and efficiently to achieve the city's goals and priorities. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Thank you. When we were working through our budget for in preparation for this year, 2025, one of the things that I did was our goal was to pass a balanced budget, and one of the ways we got to that goal was to cut out what I thought was some kind of slush baked in expenditures that when this year came, we were going to come back and ask for that money, approve what we needed, as opposed to things being baked in. And the reason for this is, one, obviously passing the balanced budget, but for two, because transparency, we want the public and everyone to know. And three, we have a really good working relationship with the administration and the council that I know if our department heads need something and truly need it and the city needs it, we can come and ask, and we'll be able to stand on what it is that we need and share what it is and how we move forward. So all that to say, this is where the birth of the capital improvement plan came from. And so what you'll see in this $2.2 million ask are the needs presented from our departments, our department heads. Now, some of this stuff would have already been baked into a budget, but what we wanted to do is come and ask for it individually so it can be shown what it is that what we feel like we need, what we do need to be able to improve the city. So we've had our budget hearings and questions, but myself and our team is, I would say most of the team is here to be able to answer any questions, but I can probably do a pretty good job filling any questions you have. Again, thank you for hearing this capital improvement plan, and we're looking forward to doing what we can to ensure that the city is using the funds we have to improve in the best way possible.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions from council members, if any. I know we've had a budget committee meeting on this. We've had a lot of discussions. We had two of them, yeah. Any remaining questions from council members? Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Cowgill.
Just really nothing to do with that. This is more of a statement. I want to give kudos to Chief Gilbert on the document that he sent out on the kind of the year in review and what all happened with the police department. One of the most professional things I've ever seen. And as a councilman, that gives me a lot of knowledge. And as people ask me, well, what's going on? I mean, great job, Chief, honestly and truly. Thank you very much. It helps do my job better. And Lord knows I need all the help I can get, so.
I'll refrain from comment on that one. Any other council members? Okay, if no one has anything, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass additional appropriation number 2, 2025 to second reading and public hearing.
Motion by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.